your help was, well, both you and Nadia, right? Your support is valuable and appreciated. So thank you. All right, cool. Well, let's get started. And you know what? Actually, I'm gonna make, hold on. I'm gonna make Nadia, Nadia, I'm gonna make you the co-host. So when people come in, do you want to make, yeah, when people come in,
Okay.
you know how to do that, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, well, we're gonna start recording. I'm going to introduce myself. So, hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Nadia Cortez. I am the director of the ENLACE Leadership Institute, which is a master's of arts in higher education at Northeastern Illinois University. And today we are doing our fundraiser to support our students with their summer semester tuition and cost, because the cost of life is increasing and it gets a little difficult, right, to keep up with our responsibilities. So as an effort, in terms of the Familia, the Enlace Leadership Institute Familia, we put together this fundraiser to bring attention to our program, but also to raise some money to support our students, right, so they could focus on their school and not necessarily on the issues, financial issues that hold them back, right? So what is Enlace? Well, actually, before I even get started, I just want to say I hope you are all somewhere safe, right? Taking care of yourself, firme in terms of like taking care of yourself, your family. We know there's a lot going on with the immigration policies, and I just want to say that at the beginning, right? Because I know it's impacting many families, including folks that we know in our families and friends and colleagues, etc. Right? So that being said, what is Enlace? Enlace Leadership Institute started in the year 2000. It was started with a Kellogg Foundation grant. The proposal was put together by several community members from Chicago, one of them being Gina Gamboa, who is a co-director of La Casa de la Cultura on 18th Street in Pilsen. She's been around for a very long time, very active, doing educational workshops and actually education with primary students, elementary students across the city. So her input, along with others, I forget who the other people were, but she's still involved. That's the reason why I still know her. Their input was what helped create this program. And the purpose of the program back in the 1990s, there wasn't too many Latinos, Latinas, Latinx folks who were working in higher ed institutions, which include universities and colleges. And so they put together this proposal in terms of saying, well, can we have some type of initiative, right, to bring together Latino leaders, just because our population was growing at the time and it continues to grow, right? And so that being said, we got the grant. It was in millions of dollars, and it started our first cohort in the year 2000. And I'm happy to say that actually, no, it's not yeah, in our first cohort, we have one of our popular, famous alumna. Her name is Dr. Mayra Gatan Morales. Right now, she is the dean and director of the University Center at Lake County, which is next to the College of Lake County up north in Lake County, by just west of Waukegan. A lot of people don't know where it's at. I tell them, if you know where Great America is at, it's close to that, a bit more west, right? So she's up there doing great things with the community, and she really represents what this program is about, right? Being of the first group, group of students who earned their master's degree in higher education. And the thing about that is many folks don't know what that means, right? Master's in higher education. Some people think that, it means that we're preparing professors for the future. It's like, no, 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 we're preparing leaders in higher ed. And these are leaders who work in different units, financial aid, right? Counseling center, advising, programs for orientation, admissions, whatever unit you can name. We prepare people to understand how universities and higher ed institutions, how they function, right? And we know that different universities have different ways of doing things. So, but at the very least, we prepare our students, right, to learn how to navigate, how to advocate, but also how to serve our students with the immediate needs that they need at this time, right? And as you know, the reason our program is significant because we do talk about immigrants, right? We do talk about the Latino community, Latinx community, who represent the majority of immigrants in this nation. So what that means is we're serving students who are bilingual, bicultural. We are serving students who come from a different place or their families come from a different place. And then we also have students who have different statuses in terms of documentation, right? We got citizens, residents, we have folks who are undocumented going for, residents, or different titles. And we have folks who are undocumented. And we also have folks who are DACA documented, right? In terms of they're signed up to receive some privileges, right? Where they can access resources. And one of them is being a student in higher ed. That being said, we prepare our leaders to look at our students and not tell them what to do, but instead, like, what are your needs and how can we prepare you to become leaders, right, in higher education? So my personal upbringing, and by the way, for the show, I want to thank everybody who just joined us. I'm going to introduce the ENLACE, the Institute, a little bit about myself, and then at 6:30, we're going to start the panel with some of my students who are on right now, on Zoom right now. They're going to start at 6:30, about an hour long or so. They have great things to share in terms of STEM and higher education. I should have went into STEM because I wanted to be a millionaire. No, I'm saying that's there. But it's a great field, right? It's a great field for sure, and we do need more Latinas, right? In particular, in STEM to come up. I know there's been different initiatives, right, through different campuses, to really bring up or make opportunities to girls, right, young ladies, Latinas in general to get into these programs and hopefully start some type of career, right? Because they are enhancing careers. They do pay well, right? And we try to get jobs so you can live comfortably, but also give back to the community, right? So that's the purpose, the mission of our program. So that being said, let me show you our webpage in terms of when we're trying to recruit. You could look up ENLACE, and ENLACE is an acronym for Engaging Latinx Communities for Education. Again, when we started in the year 2000, this is before I was director. I became director 7 years ago in 2018, but this took place 25 years ago with a $1.5 million grant from the Kellogg Foundation. I'm not going to read all of this, but our mission, I'll read the first two sentences. The mission of the ENLACE Leadership master's program is to prepare leaders in higher education that will create change responsive to the educational needs of Latinx students and increasingly diverse post-secondary student population. As we know, the world is changing, the world is becoming smaller. All of us are represented in different spaces now, right? It'll be minimal or, or we're substantial or equitable, but we're everywhere, right? And what that means is we need to learn how to serve our students who have different needs, but also who navigate differently, right? Because some folks, again, with language, their socioeconomic status, and their citizenship status makes a difference in how we can support them, right? But importantly, what's important in all of that is how do we have them integrated in higher ed and graduate, earn their degrees, right? That's the main goal in serving students. Let me go down here. I'm honored to say that we do provide fellowships for our students, and because we have a large group, right now we have 37 students in the program. Um, these young ladies that are in the panel right now, they're part of cohort 15, which is all women. And that wasn't intentional, right? When we first met in orientation, I remember we realized like, wow, okay, this is all women. Like that's fascinating. And I told them immediately, I was like, we're looking for leaders and we found them. We weren't looking for women leaders, we're looking for leaders, right? And we found them. And I'm honored to say that they're all still on board. And 19.5 of them are going to graduate because one of them, right, she took the 4-year program for personal reasons I won't share. But she's still on board, and eventually in 2 years, when she's done, it will be 20 out of 20. And for as many years I've been here for 7 years, we always at least had one person drop out from each cohort, at least one. Some cohorts we actually had like 4 or 5. So that to me is remarkable. It's the power of the cohort model in terms of what I tell our students is like your number one resource is each other, right? I'm here as your director. We have professors, right, who teach different courses, and I'm also proud to say that the majority of our professors are Latinx. We do have a Black professor by the name of Dr. DeWitt Scott, and I will actually go through some of their profiles in a bit, if not now, after the panel, so you can see that not only do we have professors who understand our communities, but professors who are great and awesome in the field of higher education, right? So we do have some type of profiles where I can share that with you. So a little bit about me, right? So again, my full name is Gabriel Alejandro Cortez Luna Canales, and I always say that because that's my full name, right? My family calls me Gabriel, friends call me Gabriel, my students call me Dr. Cortez. So I have different identities, right? And that's the reason why I share that, because we all do in different ways, right? And so in different spaces, we act, right, and show a different side of ourselves. But born and raised in Chicago, my parents are from Mexico, norteños, from La Frontera up north. Um, and born and raised in the West Town area, public school, Chicago Public School product, graduated from Prosser Vocational High School back in 1992, last century, remember that? And went to U of I, Urbana-Champaign, where I started learning about our history. And I will say I'm honored to be the director of this program because my freshman year back in 1992, I struggled. That was the year I struggled the most because it was all brand new for me, right? And so being involved with La Casa Cultural Latina, which is a culture center for Latino students, which has had a long history. It was established back in 1974, the year I was born, coincidentally, right? But the purpose back then, because we had a smaller group, population of Latino students at U of I, and they needed space to come together and build community to support each other. Again, it's surrounding yourself with people with similar backgrounds. It's not to segregate, right? But it's just you find power and you elevate each other when you do so, right? So the cultural center definitely gave me that space to elevate, to realize who I represent, right? And then realize that I need to ask for help and be comfortable with it. I will thank my PRP, peer retention program mentor, Dinora Lozano, who is now principal. I always forget the name of the school, but it's in back of the yards, elementary school. Still keep in touch with her, but she's the one that showed me how to register for class, talk to professors, all of those things. So now on the flip side, now I'm a director who's preparing leaders to do the same thing for other Latino students, right? And I know for a fact if it wasn't for that type of program, I probably would have dropped out. Who knows what type of career I would have been in. But with that support, valuable support to affirm me, that letting me know that I belong here, right? And also show me like this is how you excel. And that's part of the reason why I'm here as a director, as a full professor in educational leadership, and back in my hometown, right? Being working for a university. So I'm honored in all of that. In terms of my title, so I am a full professor in educational leadership. In my other job, I actually prepare school principals. These are teachers who at least have taught for 2 years in any type of school setting, right? They have to have their license to teach, which is called a Pell license. I think it's professional educator license. And that's what makes them available to become a principal, or first they need to get their master's degree in educational leadership, and then they become available, right, to become principal. So I'm honored to actually prepare future school principal. I've been doing it for 16 years. I actually have former students who are principals throughout the city of Chicago and the northern suburbs, some in the southern suburbs. So it's an honor. But I also am truly honored, right, to work with the ENLACE Leadership Institute because of its mission. It's more particular to me, and in this section, I actually prepare leaders for higher ed, which is different, right? Because we're not preparing teachers, and instead we're preparing folks, again, like I said earlier, to be student-centered and to know how to navigate the system, right? That being said, one of the things that we look for we do have an admissions committee, the ENLACE Leadership Institute Admissions Committee. It's comprised of Gina Gamboa, Dr. Leonard Ramirez, Luis Narvaez from cohort 7. Wait, no, cohort, yeah, 7. And who just joined us is Nadia Berriel, who is also the student coordinator for the ENLACE, my assistant who's helped me out in the last few months. And I think that's it. And I'm trying to get together with Dr. Javier Aquino, who was one of our recent hires as an instructor, to join us next year. So in terms of how people are involved, we also have a advisory committee, which is led by Dr. Leonard Ramirez as well. And these are folks who help me, right, recruit, who help me review the admissions applications, and we deny folks, right? We deny people, unfortunately, because what we're looking for is a good fit for folks who look at our community with an asset-based lens, right? We know that folks sometimes leave from the community, they become successful in one aspect or another, and then they just tend not to look at the community through a positive vibe, right, or an asset lens. So we're looking for people who know the community, are from the community, but also know how to navigate in higher education, right? Sometimes you get folks who know how to advocate in higher ed, but they don't know the community and they don't know how to connect. Then you get folks who are from the community, but they don't know how to function or navigate through higher ed. So when we find both, which we have here today among so many others, those are the folks that we accept. And I'm honored to say that we have, in the last 10 years, we've graduated over 130 at least, more for sure. In the last 10 years, master degrees, right, graduates from the program. I mean, that's contributing to the different institutions across Chicago. We got people in UIC, Loyola. We got folks in Dominican University. We got folks up in Lake County, the CCC, Chicago City Colleges. And I believe in each campus, which they have 7. And that's an impact that we've had, right? And I'm honored to say, even though our program is focused on the Latinx community, we have folks who are not Latinx as students and alumni, right? We've had Black students, white students, Native American, Asian, uh, Arab. We've had Arab students as well. So I'm honored to say that we're diverse in that sense as well. So that's a little bit about the program. And then because we have 10 more minutes left, I think Danny Cortez joined us, right? He's the before we had this fundraiser, I had asked some students, alumni, if they could share a video about their experience, and he was the only one to submit, and I'm gonna play it right now. So thank you, Danny. I don't know if you're on Zoom right now, but I do appreciate you sending your video. So let me look it up right now. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna find the email that you sent me. So let me look for your name real quick. All right. And here we go. There's an example, right? And by the way, Danny Cortez, at first I thought he was my cousin, but I do think he is my cousin. I think we're related one way or another. But awesome person. I just saw the other day he posted on Facebook that he and others at Central, which is one of our campuses of Northeastern, they hosted a group of like 20, probably even more, elementary level kids from I think it was Erie neighborhood elementary school, charter school.
Yes, it
And
was Erie Charter School. So hi everyone. Yes, we brought them in like about 2 weeks ago. So we opened the doors to elementary school third graders so they can understand that coming to college, you shouldn't be afraid that it's a space where they're welcome, where they can experience and start learning about college life. And then last week we actually invited Foreman High School. So we're trying to start that journey as soon as possible. So then that way there's like no resistance or like any like frightening of like the journey of what's going to happen, and just knowing that it's okay, that college is okay.
that's impactful, right? It's super impactful to the point where I was like, I love this, right? I love this so much because from my end, this is the first time I see something like that at Northeastern at its century, right? In terms of that age. And you're correct, right? We need to introduce post-secondary education to our kids. It's never too early. And that's the type of student that Danny was. He's alumni, but now he's a leader, right? He's not the director, but he works at El Centro, but he's doing many great things along with his peers and hosting these type of activities. But let me shut up and let me play his video real quick. It's about 2 minutes long. And sit back, relax, and enjoy. Uh-oh, I may have to put it a little bit more louder.
Hi everyone, my name is Danny Cortez. I am from cohort 13, and yeah, we're here for questions for ENLACE, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let's do it. I was really thankful that I was able to be with ENLACE because it's opened so many opportunities for me, especially when it comes to networking. Coming from a background of HR and starting off my career journey in the corporate world, especially in hospitality, transitioning to academia was, all I thought to myself was, this is gonna be tough, it's gonna take me a while. But being in this program, like I mentioned, has opened many opportunities such as networking, being able to explore other universities as well when it comes to our field trips, and also going through conferences as well. So it's really nice that ENLACE can provide the resources for the students. Being in a cohort, it's amazing. The amount of support from your colleagues, classmates, friends, family. You build this new relationship with them, and the support is endless. One of the main reasons I joined the ENLACE program was because it was heavily focused on the Latinx community, something that I'm very passionate about. My roots, where my family came from, getting to know my friends' background as well, knowing that we share the same dream, share the same stories, but also being able to learn from others as well. ENLACE is different. It's like a family. I am going back to school. Thanks to ENLACE, I was able to attend different types of seminars, workshops that they offer. So I was happy to know that this program provides even the resources for students who wants to continue and earn the title of a doctor.
All right, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Danny, for that. Let me hide this real quick. Thank you for that, Danny. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that, but thank you for being the only one to submit something, right? And for me, you're that trailblazer, right? You're that trailblazer who sets the tone, and that's why you're a leader, right? So thank you for that again. We have about go ahead. You want to say something? Is there something you want to say? Okay, I see the heart. Thank you.
No, I just want to say I would love to see more of our alumni to share because I know there's so much we can talk about. But yes, definitely joining ENLACE has been amazing. It's just been, that's all I can say, amazing. It's been definitely welcoming, different, definitely that sense of belonging, that family, that familia, especially when it comes to minority students, us, the community, like I just feel like we belong together and I truly enjoy it. So thank you, Dr. Cortez, for everything you do as well.
Thank you, Danny. Well, cool. So we have about 4 minutes left. I'm going to talk a little bit about what drives us in terms of ideologies. And one of the ideologies that we follow is Tara Yoso, who's a scholar in the field, right, of culture and education. And she talks about the concept of community wealth, right? And this concept is important because a lot of times when we're working with students, right, who come from low income backgrounds, who come from non-white backgrounds, et cetera, right, marginalized communities, all of that, educators and educational institutions tend to look at them through a deficit lens, right? They're not capable. They don't speak the language correctly, right? Other things, these are a bunch of gangbangers, right? Or these are all violent prone, like individuals. Like, no, we don't need educators with that lens because you're really not doing your students a favor if that's the way you're looking at them, right? So what Tara Yoso does, she provides this framework and it's like, look, we all have something to share, right? Even if we're not scholarly literate in terms of like I've read so many books or, about theories and all that stuff. We could talk about our passions. We could talk about what we're aspiring for, right? We could talk about the way we communicate with our community, our histories of our families and our local communities, right? We can talk about, how we said, aspirations. We can talk about how we navigate institutions, right? How we, pay the bills. Because all of that is learning. All of that is learning how to do certain things, right? You have to pick it up and adjust. So we can be, independent individuals functioning and working in the system, right? So Terry, also, we put that at the forefront just because that's what we do as leaders. We promote each other. We see you. Even though, I'm honored when we have students who come and say like, wow, I've never been like so affirmed in terms of my culture, right? In terms of who I am, like how I grew up and how I see the things. This group here, this familia that I call the Enlace Familia, is like they're the ones who pick me up every time I fall, right? And this is why we excel, because we have that lens that we're all capable of achieving, right? Where it is that we focus on. So I'll leave it there. I'm gonna open it up for the panel, which is in 2 minutes. Afterwards, because we're gonna go to 8, the panel is gonna be about till 7:30 or so. But afterwards, I will talk about our professors because we put together a document of their profiles, and I do have a document of our 25 years celebration where we highlight particular individuals who are doing great things in the field, right? So that's gonna be more information regarding Enlace. And we're doing that because we want you to donate. Please donate. And remember, that's the purpose of this of today's function. And I want to thank, actually, I see Veronica Galindo. She's one of the first donators. Thank you for being here. I also want to thank Veronica Rodriguez. I think she's on here too. She gave us a donation. And there was a third person, can't think of right now. Oh, Elizabeth Villarreal, who is cohort 5, I believe. Oh no, cohort 4, 3. Oh, Liz, please remind me if you're here. But I'm sorry about that. But she did, and thank you for your donation. Let me stop there. I'm gonna hand it over to Roxanne Garcia, Wendy Arteaga, and Nadia Berriel, who's also the student coordinator for the ENLACE Leadership Institute. 3 young ladies who are phenomenal, right? In terms of their communication skills, navigation skills, and we're going to talk about STEM and higher education. And I'm going to sit back and relax and just watch them share this information. And Roxanne, you got the mic, so take it away.
For sure. Thank you, Dr. Cortez. And thank you everyone for joining us. It's day 1 of the Enlace event, right? So come back tomorrow if you can. There's going to be a lot of great speakers, great panelists, former alumni, former students of the Enlace program. And I do want to mention that your presence means a lot. It means that you are now part of our support system because you're donating not only your time, but also financially, that's what we're asking for. So to start off, my name is Roxanne Garcia. I am a graduate student in the Enlace program, and I'm in cohort 15. So my fellow cohort mates, Nadia and Wendy, are here taking their, some time off their day to participate and share some thoughts and their experience in in higher education. And I think I also wanted to mention the fact that cohort 15, like Dr. Cortez said, it's all women. I think we also had the idea of we got to give ourselves a nickname, and we decided to name ourselves Las Poderosas, Powerful Women. And I think that goes very well with us. I mean, there's the 20 of us, so hello. And then we also consider ourselves Las Quinceañeras because cohort 15, it makes sense, right? I decided to talk about this topic of STEM in higher education because it brings up the idea that there's no one undergrad major that you can go into and then say like, oh, I'm prepared to go into higher education. I think it's more of a stepping stone, right? And then when you realize that this is the route you want to take, ENLACE is an option for us. And especially if you're nearby, right? And thankfully I met some really cool people. And then I participated in one of those fundraisers that the group, I want to say cohort 14 had. And it was a trip. Like Dr. Cortez still mentions it to this day. Like they had a banda. And so, you gotta dance. You gotta participate. So it was a great night that day. So needless to say, I'm happy to be a part of this. I'm coming out with some really great friends, and hopefully I can, by the end of this, be like my comadres. So let me introduce these two wonderful women. We have Nadia and we have Berriel-Miranda, and we also have Wendy Arteaga. I would like you to introduce yourselves. You can say your name, your current professional role, the major that you had in college, and then a movie that you can quote by heart. So I'll pass it on to either one.
I can get us started for the evening. So hey everyone, so honored to have been invited and thought of for this amazing event that we're trying to have tonight. STEM is so close to dear to my heart, so very thankful that it's getting the honor it deserves. So yeah, as mentioned, my name is Wendy Arteaga, currently part of cohort 15, wrapping up our semester this summer. I currently serve as an assistant director of STEM internships and career programs over at Dominican University. I've been there for 3 years now. And I actually started as a coordinator for a STEM program, which I can talk a little bit further on one of the questions. And I've navigated several roles, all related to STEM. And so in my undergrad, I'll actually be a double alum of NEIU, so go Eagles, but I actually majored in chemistry. So for me to land in higher ed, it was kind of a trajectory to get here. But I knew in undergrad, I didn't always know what I wanted, but I always was drawn to STEM. And so I ultimately ended up deciding on chemistry, and yeah, but now I'm here in education. So thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. Super happy to do this with my fellow classmates from cohort 15. My name is Nadia. I attended McAllister College in Minnesota, and I majored in applied math and statistics. So like Wendy, it's like a lot of people would ask, like, how the heck did you get into higher ed? But I'm here. I currently serve as the Senior Engagement Coordinator at Noble Schools. It's a nonprofit in Chicago that has 17 high schools across the city. But I've held different roles in that nonprofit. And oh, I'm sorry, Roxanne, did you ask about the movie?
I did, but you can mention your role in higher education too,
Okay. And I also hold the student coordinator position in the ENLACE Leadership Institute since February of this year. So working with Dr. Cortez, getting my foot in the door in higher ed, and it's been fun. Wild times, but really fun to get that started.
I'll go, sorry, with the movie I can quote, it's Mean Girls.
I just wanted Wendy to say that. And even though I was thinking about changing my answer, I decided not to because I shouldn't be ashamed. So I feel like I could really quote the first Twilight movie by heart. Not ashamed.
Awesome. Thank you. It's nice to like not only talk about the topic, but also, be a little lighthearted about everything, especially what's happening in the world. So let me return back to STEM and higher education. I want to ask you both, what led you to consider a career in higher education?
So I can start that question off. So this one might be a little bit of a kind of, I'm dragging you along on this voyage with me of answering this question. But I obviously initially, again, I majored in chemistry. So I always envisioned myself just being in industry, working in a lab, being a little lab rat somewhere. So getting into higher ed was kind of a shift. I worked in manufacturing for about 4 years, actually. I did metal forming, metal plating. I did the beverage production industry where I actually worked in the beer industry. And as fun as that was, again, it led me to a different path. In my latest job before actually ultimately transitioning to higher ed, I was a research technician at the University of Chicago in their electron microscopy lab. Again, I had a lot of enjoyment doing what I did, but part of me didn't feel fully fulfilled. But I found that working at U Chicago, I enjoyed the setting of being at an institution in a university and a research institution like U Chicago was really like interesting to navigate. And so I was working with postdoc students, and so I enjoyed that part of my job. And so again, I was still seeing where I landed or where like life was taking me because I still felt like some part of me was missing. And so, funny enough, on LinkedIn, a friend of mine shared an opening that Dominican had, and it was a coordinator role for a grant funded STEM program that they were running. And the main thing that caught my eye at that moment was that they were open to hiring someone with a STEM background or an education background. So I was like, you know what? Let me tempt fate. Let me see what's going to happen because the worst thing that can happen is they'll just tell me no. But I applied for the role. I ultimately got hired. And within 2 weeks of being in that coordinator role, I felt right at home. And I felt like everything that had been missing in my previous roles, I was feeling fulfilled in this environment. I was working with students in the community like me. They were undocumented students, first gen students, Latino, Black students, all hoping to go into the STEM field. So I saw myself in a lot of these students. And so getting to work with them really drove me every day. And again, I found like a part of me ignited, and I was finally feeling like I belonged somewhere. And the work I was doing was actually meaningful. And so, yeah, within 2 weeks, I was like, I think I found what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so, a few months after, I found the ENLACE program. I knew a few people that had gone through it, and then I applied. And yeah, 3 years later, here we go.
Thank you, Wendy.
For me, it's also going to be a wild ride. And I think that I'd like to start during the existential crisis that we all experienced during COVID. I was incredibly unhappy with my job as a programmer. So after graduating, um, from college, I decided to just get a job with like my degree, and it was a programmer. But during COVID, we were all working from home. But then I saw a lot of my community losing their jobs or not being able to work, worrying about like life. And my job, my company was just still rolling with the punches, trying to keep working on surveys. And I think that that was really frustrating to me to try to like see both worlds. And so I thought of myself like, what was the reason why I went to college? And so it was to like help people or to like give back to my community. And so like I really like sat down and like thought of what that meant for me. So then I decided to move back from to Chicago, and that's when I kind of like delved into the education sector. I found a role at Noble Schools. So it was in their government and community affairs, and it was about policy and advocacy. And that's when I kind of learned that there's like multiple things you can do in the educational sector. Um, and so like that was really interesting to me. I think that one, I love to talk and get to know people. I love to advocate, and I love justice, and I love equity. So I think that that's really like where like my heart was at. Decided to apply it and I got it. And then that's when I met an Lacista from cohort 14, and he was going through this program, about to finish, and I asked him for coffee. He told me about the program, and I'm like, okay, like this is really, really like in tune to like my life mission and my career mission of wanting to better the lives of our communities of Black and Brown students, because I know how much worth our college education has and like the impact that it has in our communities for generations to come. So I think that I decided to apply. And then when the opportunity to be the student coordinator for Dr. Cortez came, I was all over it. And I think that that's been super, super fulfilling for me, because even though I am now student facing, I'm still able to contribute very like passionately and meaningfully to impact lives. And I think that to me, that's what I can control, and it makes me happy.
I think I want to highlight the two things that I saw from both of responses. The fact that like Wendy was given an opportunity in the sense of the school was saying we're taking STEM and education students. So that was an opportunity for students to take, right? And then Wendy got it. Love that. And then Nadia bringing up the idea that you can be in the education sector and it could be, it still relates. You're still talking to folks, you're still making sure that the students are addressed, talking to the parents, right? Because you're building community, you're making sure that everybody feels welcome, there's a sense of belonging. And then if we're going to take it back to Yoso, the theory by Tara Yoso, you're making sure that they also understand that they do have something to contribute. It's not all negative, and that's beautiful, right? All right, so I'm going to go on to the next question. I wanted to ask you, because you are coming from a STEM field, I want to know if you think that what are the transferable skills that you brought from that background to higher education now that you're in this profession?
I think for me, the top three would definitely be the problem solving and like data literacy, like slash attention to detail. Um, I I am definitely a person that believes that like all skills are transferable and that we can all like gain all new perspectives and new experiences from each other. And that's how we can come up with like better and like more like fast forward like solutions. So like the problem solving, the like and like data analysis, like finding a practical, logical solution. I feel like that's very much what I learned from my math and statistics background. And so like applying that to like our higher ed space, it's like we see a problem, like retention, we see a problem, recruitment. And so like, okay, what are logical solutions to get to solve this problem? Obviously really huge problems. And then data literacy, I think that a huge thing that I see in just like society too is like when you get a huge set of numbers or a huge table with numbers, a lot of people are intimidated or don't know how to read that, or you can really manipulate people with a lot of data and numbers. But I think that that's one way we can empower ourselves and empower our communities and empower like the work that we're doing by knowing data literacy. So I think that that's one thing that I can contribute, and that has been part of my uh like like my journey of like transferring skills. And then the last one is attention to detail. Like if you miss a comma in programming, like you're gonna spend hours finding that comma until you clear that error. It is ridiculous. And so like the attention to detail to like that I gained from my undergrad. And so like definitely think that has been part of my um like journey into like higher ed, because it's been part of like, okay, what for me and like my work, like what are something like where are like the gaps and like how can I improve? And it's always like assessing and um making sure that everything is being covered as much as possible. Um, so I think that those are the top three.
Yeah, for me, I would say it's pretty similar. Definitely the analytical thinking and problem solving skills, but also teamwork and just adaptability. With analytical thinking and problem solving skills, I've really been able to approach challenges that we get in higher ed. Like Nadia mentioned, like you find a lot of challenges or you find a little, like, I don't want to say issues, but they are sometimes issues. So really trying to analyze those case studies and develop like strategic initiatives that are going to help get through the challenge or get through the issue that you're facing has been definitely helpful. But for me, it's also been really essential is teamwork, especially in our cohort environment and at work. I want to say that I'm a pretty good team player. I've been used to since undergrad working with others, especially in the lab setting, working on lab reports together. In industry setting, collaboration was essential. I was working with engineers in manufacturing or other researchers, as I mentioned, like at U Chicago. And so I quickly realized that in higher ed, collaboration is big key. You need to understand the peers around you. You need to be in good standing with other offices if you want to accomplish things. Sometimes there's like big programming available, and essentially two offices are doing the same work. So it's easier to just collaborate because students can honestly notice when people within higher ed aren't speaking to each other because they're seeing similar aspects of one similar thing in different areas. And so I think that teamwork is just so essential. And I was able to really formulate good relationships with my colleagues outside of the offices that I've worked in. So I currently like work in the Office of Career Programs, but I levitate a lot back to the folks that are working in student success and engagement because we're ultimately serving the same students. So definitely that component of teamwork has been really essential. And then again, adaptability. I've been able to shift between different roles. And then STEM really taught me how to learn quickly and navigate change. And it just has made it easier to embrace that growth and leadership development that both ENLACE has offered me, but also my roles at Dominican have allowed me to grow into.
Thanks, Wendy and Nadia. It does make a difference knowing that when you go into a job or coming in from a different major, like you can bring skills. It just might be a little tough at the beginning to notice. I want to go ahead and ask then, what were, I know you're coming in from from a STEM background, and I want to know if it was possible, if you encountered this, the fact that there are maybe different options for you coming in with a background in higher education. What kind of career options have you found? Um,
Yeah, I would say that definitely finding that initial role as a coordinator um enlightened me to really see that there is a lot of opportunity in STEM. A lot of people do kind of help embrace a different background. And what I've noticed a lot of openings in have been in grant work. There are a lot of STEM grants, and so definitely coming in with that STEM lens has been very helpful because I've brought in new perspectives to the table that only an individual who went through the STEM curriculum at the undergraduate level sometimes understands. I know what students are looking for when they're looking for internships, research opportunities. I know what the rigor of going through the curriculum of being a STEM student looks like. And it's very different for every major. But again, sometimes just that lived experience, I'm able to put that into perspective for others and get them to understand why it's different or why STEM students need maybe a different shift of something. So yeah, definitely there are a lot of openings, a lot of them related to grant work. but oftentimes people do like that background because, again, of those transferable skills. And if you can recognize those transferable skills, I think putting yourself in any situation is kind of, you can make it that STEM piece. I was lucky enough, like I mentioned, to start in a grant funded role. I'm still under a separate grant now at Dominican, and even the practicum I completed over the spring semester was another STEM grant at a community college. So they're definitely out there, but that's mainly what I've seen a lot of is those STEM support grants that are being offered by both the NSF and the Department of Ed.
I have noticed those grants and they're out there. So, and I know this was like an opportunity for you through an internship to see that, and then hopefully I think you're going to go into grant work. So okay, I want to go back. So now that we've been talking about the background in STEM, I want to ask you a little more about your experience in the ENLACE program. The first one is, what were your favorite classes in the ENLACE program?
Oh my God. Definitely the first favorite is semester 2, 497 student personnel work in higher education with Dr. Cristina Garcia. Um, Not only was she amazing, but the content and was really eye-opening. I think that her assignments of like having us interview student personnel in jobs that we're interested in uh institutions that we're interested in, like it all was very intentional. And so like I got to meet really cool people and learn about cool opportunities. Like again, like education is such a big sector, and so like learning about like all of these things that my skills could be transferred to like was really amazing. And hearing from those people that are currently in the positions that I want to be in say like, you can definitely, I could definitely see you in this position. Like, don't feel like you're behind because you're currently not, like in higher ed fully. So I think like that second semester class and that ability to connect with those people like really like made me feel like, okay, I'm in the right space and this is for me, and I'm valuable.
You are, of course, yes. And maybe I'm also saying that because I'm biased because I'm your friend and like, hello, much love. uh, so because of the fact that you had oh sorry, I wanted to pass on the question to Wendy.
No worries, Roxanne. I think for me, my favorite course became that same semester, but the course that Dr. Claudia Mercado teaches, which is Lead 490, Student Development Theory / the Adult Learner. Just because I was able to learn about all of the theories, she made sure we learned them. And I was really able to put what I was learning into perspective with the work that I was doing. So again, I worked in student success and engagement for the first 2 years of my higher ed background or career. And so I would really put into perspective what we were doing programming wise. And so I was really trying to be intentional, making sure that I was applying those theories into what my students were learning or into what we meant to do with those programs. Because it's one thing for someone to tell me that, they were the PI for a grant, but a lot of those times those individuals weren't the ones actually doing the grunt work like I was. They weren't the ones working directly with the students. They weren't the ones seeing those changes or what was meant to be of that grant directly. So really using the knowledge and applying it was really meaningful to me. And I think that was just a really good course for me moving forward because in the grant world, you have to submit something called time and effort. And so I found myself submitting in that time and effort that's kind of what I wanted to see more of from my grant administrators or like the grant writers, that I wanted that support from them in that aspect because it was important to put those things into perspective and to ensure that we were meaningfully expecting these outcomes, and not just because they sounded right or they looked good on paper, and the data was comparable. So I would say that was my favorite course.
So thank you. I wonder what my favorite course was. I didn't prepare. So I guess all of them, right? The question that follows here, because it's such a tough time and the cost of living, again, is brutal. What were the financial aid options for enlacistas?
For current students, I would say like definitely connect with your graduate advisor. And like any department that you feel like can support you, because nobody that is there in higher ed can help you unless they know what the problem is. They have a lot of resources, they have a lot of a huge network, and they do have the ability to help and support. Definitely and definitely your graduate advisor. There's a lot of scholarship opportunities. The ENLACE scholarship obviously is available, but for current students, I would say that, or current students that are interested in applying, or should have applied because the deadline was yesterday. There is like the opportunity to have the 2-year and scholarship. But besides that, I would say that it's tough. Higher education is something that obviously we all are passionate about and we're all crave, like that's why we're here. But like we cannot ignore the financial burden that it also is for our, like for us, for like millennials, for Gen Z, for students that are just trying to pursue their goals, pursue their passions. But finances is a barrier. I think that Enlace does a really, really great job, especially now working with as a student coordinator. I've seen Dr. Cortez move mountains and I don't know, whatever the saying is, and including creating this fundraiser, right? For our students. So I would say that we have a great graduate advisor, and to reach out to make it known, it's nothing to be shameful. And you're gonna find help somehow.
Definitely. That was, I know that there are some other scholarships. So talking to the financial aid director at NEIU, so Mo, shout out to her because she does great work. Also, I'm gonna mess up her name. Oh, Haiti. She is so, she just, she, if you all speak Spanish, es un amor ella. So talk to them. They know what they're doing, and they do it in a loving way too. They're there for their students. You can really tell that there's feeling and love behind their actions. And because we were still on the subject of enlace and how when you're enrolled, I want to ask you all, because I know you all have a really good method of how did you manage everything? What was the work-life balance that you were able to, how did you manage that?
I would say it definitely, yeah, did take a lot of management. For me personally, I've honestly had to work full time since I was in the undergraduate level. So it for me was like, well, this isn't my first rodeo. So I just used a lot of what I already did in my undergraduate and just applied it here, because I even took summer courses when I was in undergraduate level to finish quicker. I was a little behind at one point. And so for me, it was just really blocking out specific time to work on very specific items. When I knew I had a deadline, I would honestly work on it probably like a week and a half or 2 weeks ahead. Because I have like time anxiety and I have of feeling like I'm always running out of time. So for me, breaking it down in that wet manner is what really worked for me. And so when I knew I could get through, section A or whatnot, I could move on to section B. So really using the syllabus and the calendar that faculty were giving us, and putting that into my own calendar, into my own timeline, that is what helped me. And so juggling with personal life, it was also like scheduling it into my personal calendar. My husband and I had a shared calendar, and so there were times where I'd have to block out like weekends when it's like Wendy is doing schoolwork. So it was definitely, a full effort of everyone around me and the support I received from my loved ones. But yeah, that's kind of how I had to go about it, just to ensure that I was staying on top of it and ensuring that everything was done on time.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, and all of the tips that Wendy mentioned, I definitely use. So in addition to that, I feel like something that I can add is like being intentional and realistic with your scheduling. I think like, and then like a good way to do that is planning ahead, making sure like you are able to see all your syllabus, but also check in with your family, with your friends, with your partner to see what you have going on and plan to make sure that you're getting that paper done, getting that, going to that internship, going to your full-time job, and making sure that you're fulfilling what you need. And so like I think that a lot of times is like prioritizing what makes you the like will make you the most happy. And so like what I mean by that is that sometimes you do think that you want to like procrastinate on that paper or like not do something, but at the end of the day it's not going to make you happy. You're going to hate yourself and just like really like not do like really good work. So I think like being really realistic with your priorities and making sure that like you get done, like okay, you work on your paper and then that's out of your head. You're not going to worry about that, and you can now go have fun or like do something else on your to-do list. I love planners, like digital, like phone. I love to-do lists, like anything that I can like write down, because I feel like my mind works like at um a million miles per second. So I think that being very like intentional about like when something comes up, like, oh, I forgot, like we have a discussion post due in 2 days. I have to get that done. I'm working on it right now. And so like that's on my to-do list. So making sure that my priorities are set. And then also like I think another important thing is giving ourselves grace. Like we are busy people, like we do have to work full time to go to school. Like we do have like full families, we do have responsibilities outside of academia, and giving ourselves grace to make sure like we're still human. And I think like again, and Enlace does a really great job at like keeping us like or really like centering us as like students as a whole and making sure that they are realistic. Like we do have full-time jobs. I've like that Tuesday after 4 p.m. like we're tired, and like the professors are super super understandable. So I feel like just as like how they're showing us grace, like we also should have to show grace to ourselves.
Yeah, totally. Oh, the fact that we do check-ins usually at the beginning of the class, and it'll be most likely at both for both classes on Tuesdays. They're like, how you doing? What's going on? We might even have a little chat about like just the chaos that's happening around us, but how we still need to complete. We want to make sure that we meet our goal of completing this program and going to make, you know, the difference that we want to make ourselves. I want to add the fact that you all were the ones that brought good notes into my life, and now I can't live without it. I'm like, I bought an iPad and a Apple Pencil for a reason. And so when I started using GoodNotes, I'm like, this is beautiful. Like, I need this. Where was this whole time? So I think your cohort mates, they'll bring in some ideas that you didn't know. And yeah, I'm trying to work on my time management, y'all, but I'm going to learn from you both. Um, uh, what else? what I also want to add is, so because you're from a STEM background, I know I'm keep going back on this, but did you feel that Enlace was supportive? Because even though you know, like you might have not had the ideal matching major for higher education.
Yeah, I would honestly say that absolutely. Because if they didn't, or if Enlace wasn't supportive, I wouldn't be here. Neither would Nadia, right? Probably. And I feel like I was admitted solely on that STEM background with my lived experiences. Because like I shared, I realized early on into my role as a coordinator that that's really what I wanted to do. At the time, I was also really thinking of going back to school, but I didn't end up really pulling the trigger on any of the programs that I had found, because I still didn't fully know what I wanted. I was hesitant about doing like another chemistry degree. I was thinking doing computer science or something with data science, data analytics, to go into that sector. But it wasn't until I found Enlace that I felt like I could commit to a graduate program that A, I felt very proud of to be in, and B, I knew would help me accomplish to the goals that I wanted to get to. So again, I only had about 10 months of experience, but the two individuals that I also asked to write my letters of recommendation, they knew me, and they knew what I valued. They knew the individual that I was at both the personal level and the professional level. So they knew that my heart was truly set in working in higher ed and serving the student population that Enlace does want to embody in their leaders. And so I think for that, my authenticity is truly what played the role into my acceptance. So then I'm just, yeah, really incredibly grateful for the support that I've received from both my classmates and the faculty, because I've always been able to bring my STEM lens, my STEM background, and just share anything that I'm thinking or feeling, or just when I'm seeing things a little differently. And I've never been made to feel less than. So again, I'm truly thankful for that. But again, I really do think that my lived experiences truly played a big role in it. And that's how I'm able to support the students I do every day and be in the program.
Yeah, I think Wendy said it beautifully. I think the only thing I can add to that is at the beginning of our program, I felt like I had to validate why I was there a lot. And so like funny story, like how I met Wendy, I was telling her my whole life story of like, well, this is, like I was this major, but this is how I got here. And I told her how at Noble, like our biggest goal is getting our students into college. And so we have like an over 95% rate of getting our students into college, but like we're not immune to like national like crisis, and so like a lot of the retention rate is not there, and so like in 4 6 years like our students are not graduating. And so like to me that was like super, and as a like numbers person, like that's super super interesting, like over 95% and then like less than 50% are graduating, like that doesn't make sense. And so like I was really curious into like the higher ed world. And so like I was telling Wendy this and she's like, well, me too. And I'm like, what? Like I felt so like, oh, like thank goodness. And it was really, but it was like super, super great. I've had like multiple instances like that also with professors of like, you don't have to explain like how you're here, like you're here, period. And like we know that you're here for a reason. And you were accepted to this program because they saw like um your like a vision, of like how you can give to students, so and to like higher ed. So I think that that was super super like validating and super super supportive of Enlace, and I don't really know if I could say like I would experience that in any other program.
So I'm glad that that was that result, because you need to find that in a graduate program. That's one of the ways that you'll actually graduate from, right? And so that's great. I think I wanted to touch on the fact that when Nadia said, like, I have to keep validating myself, I think it was reassuring to know that when we were, this was Dr. Cortez, he mentioned it. He's like, you all do deserve to be here. He said it during orientation. I think he also mentioned it during the classes that we've had with Dr. Cortez, and it was the fact that he said a lot of people applied and only so many got in. So there were some rejections, and it sounds kind of bad, but it's still like you were chosen, and there's a reason for it. So that helps, right? Especially when you might not have the ideal major, when you have been out of school for a long time, 8 years. It was a rough time. So those inspiring or those just supportive words make quite a difference. And here's another question for you, because we're talking about inspiration and advice and how you can support others. I want to ask you all what advice you would offer students that also come from a STEM background and are pursuing a career in higher education.
I would just say do it. Do it, do it. Don't be like me, don't self-doubt. Don't be self-conscious. I yeah, I like that's a huge motto because I think that we can put ourselves in a box. I think that we can just say like because I picked this route, I have to stick with it. I think that we limit ourselves and that's not helpful to anybody. Um, you should definitely apply next semester or sorry, like next year. And I think that we can all use like people with different experiences, different backgrounds. You like can bring a lot into the space and like if you have like the mission of like trying to improve like the systems and structures in higher ed for our communities and build like build it like equitably, then like I think that like you're the right person and if that feels right, then apply.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely, yeah, put yourself out there. There's a big need for people like us, especially when you're able to like blend two identities, having your STEM background, your STEM identity, and coming in with that education lens that you want to make a difference, that you want to make that change. The outcome can be powerful, and the students are the ones that are going to benefit from seeing professionals who have experienced the rigor of, like I mentioned earlier, both earning the STEM degree, but also now understand how to navigate the education system. And so we're just like uniquely positioned to support and guide them. So it's really important to remember that industry isn't for everyone, and that's going to be okay, especially for me now being in the careers office. Again, I have 5 years of experience, so I'm really able to give support to students who aren't sure what they want to do, but they have questions about, I don't want to go into academia, how do I go into the workforce? And so I talk about my experience in manufacturing in different settings, and that really is helpful for them. So again, it's that piece that at the end of the day, the students are the ones that are going to get the benefit from us knowing this and coming from this different background, even if it doesn't seem like it's quote unquote right. There is no right way. And it's like Roxanne said earlier, you can't major in higher ed at the undergraduate level. So it only makes sense that different backgrounds are welcomed and that sometimes your different backgrounds just what gets you there.
Definitely. Thank you. This is all good stuff. And it's helpful to know that there's no limits and you are being encouraged, especially students that are, looking into pursuing higher education. There's a lot of professors. I know at NEIU there's the CBT building. They're making a difference in their community. I'm going to shout out that Professor Aaron Cortez. He is making such a big difference. He works with younger students in Cicero. He has what's called STEAM it's a program, and it's just to introduce the idea of STEM into the world, that like the world of 8-year-olds, middle schoolers, that are might not have, I don't know, they're just being introduced to it, right? And so it's awesome to see this. The other question that that I guess it dips into is, now that you are in the program, how are your personal identities going to inform the way you approach your work in higher education?
I think like that's like the biggest question, because for me, like the entire reason why I think like higher ed is super important was because I was able to, I feel like the reason why I didn't transfer or drop out was because of the cultural center at my private liberal arts, and it was a PWI, and I didn't feel like any sense of belonging until that center, and I was really interested in that. That was one of my interviews with the student personnel worker in higher ed class, and I think that I really saw myself like giving back in that way of like um if there are Latino students and PWIs, if there are first gen students that don't know how to navigate the campus, how to navigate classes, like anything, and they can find like a trusted mentee on campus or a trusted like adult that they can come to me. But then as I was delving deeper, I feel like the greatest need of like the communities that I want to work with and the communities that I'm currently serving, like undocumented communities, Black and Brown communities, first gen and working class. The majority of them are in community colleges in Chicago. And since I know I want to stay here and like build roots, build my community here, like I think that that's a place that like my identities have shifted like my career path. I definitely think like it's important to have like a trusted person, like, but I think uh in like private liberal arts, but I think like the communities that I want, if I want to have the most impact, it'll be in community college. And I think that then like the second interview was with a community college uh professional, and I think that like that was like really like, okay, yes, like this makes sense. Um so I would say like that has really like led me to like higher ed space, and then like leading with like like empathy and like cultural humility. I feel like because I'm able to relate to all of the majority of like the students that I want to impact, I feel like my voice at a table will hold a lot of power. And I think that I've always carried myself as a leader, like with others. It's never been my voice or just like my own thoughts. Like I think like I really like again, like with my STEM, like I rooted in research, I rooted in like what's needed, like in all data and numbers, as like much as I can like understand. And that's how I feel like it's impacted like the like my path to like higher ed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that my identities have been like my full-blown driving force in higher ed. I would say so my identities, I would label them as like first generation undocumented Latina, rooted in STEM, and non-traditional. I went to community college. I was a first generation student. I'm formally undocumented. So these are also all the students that I pride myself in supporting in my everyday work. And so again, bringing these identities, it's how I show up to the quote unquote table. It's how I show up to meetings with colleagues, and how I show up to meet with students. It's bringing these identities, these lived experiences, and then just grounding myself in the authenticity, to bring my full genuine self in any space that I enter, because of that lived experience in being undocumented and being unsure. My family is still undocumented. It's like work I pride myself in. And I'm really excited to share that I will be a speaker at the President's Alliance conference this upcoming year in September. I was invited to be a speaker, and so I'm like delighted because I'm like, oh my God, people are noticing what I'm doing. I will be doing a presentation on income generation for undocumented individuals and helping them understand the entrepreneurship lens. So it's like workshops that I'm working on at Dominican to launch this fall semester. So I'm really, really excited. Again, I've worked mostly with my STEM students because that is what my quote unquote expertise is in, but I've opened my doors to all other students of every other major. And so I get to learn from them every day as well. So yeah, definitely approaching my work with my identities has been just beneficial in my work. So definitely always bringing them to the table.
Yeah, congratulations. Like this is news to me,
That's
y'all.
amazing.
Yeah, for real. We're gonna celebrate. We gotta celebrate. When you were mentioning something along the lines of, oh darn, I think I lost my train of thought, but I, yeah, I really wanted to just congratulate you. I think everything else flew out the door at my mind after you said that, because yes, you do deserve, to be spotlighted. That's where I was going. The fact that you are doing such a big difference in at Dominican University. And then I think we also wanted to give kudos to the program that Dominican University has. If you want to share a little bit more, it's the Parent Academy.
Yeah, so the Family Academy, it was a program that launched my first year there. So I didn't launch it. I do want to give full credit to an individual. Her name is Yessi Hernandez. She works in our cultural center. And so she launched this Family Academy program, but I helped launch the STEM part of it. But I'll talk about what the Family Academy is. So essentially, it's a program. It's all focused on getting parents information. So it's mostly for first year students to get their parents into this program. The meetings or the sessions, they run once a month, every first Saturday of every month. And so the focus is on financial literacy for students and their parents so that they can understand their financial aid. Currently, I do the career section of it. So understanding the career curriculum, why it's important for their student to do a career practicum opportunity. And so in these sessions, they are in English and Spanish. And if the parents do complete the entire workshop series, I believe they only have to attend like 6 out of the 8 sessions. Their student does receive a free course that they can use in the summer or in the academic year. And so most students do take advantage and take it in the summer because that's the priciest. But yeah, it's this huge program. And so I was really excited because I was the one that launched the STEM support piece of the Family Academy. I created it from the ground up. I was just told, like, there's the session that's going to run labeled STEM support. And I was like, wonderful. So I did get to make it my own at the time. I don't run it anymore because I'm not in student success and engagement. But they still use the work that I created. I ran the session 2 years in a row in Spanish. So I was really proud of that. In that STEM support session, I ensured that I put myself in the shoes of what I remembered, what I struggled with communicating with my mom when I was a STEM student. So it was talking about my schedule, talking about labs, talking about why it's important to find a research opportunity over the summer, talking about why I might have to go to a different state for the summer to complete a research opportunity, and so forth. So it's really breaking it down to parents in a language that they understand and they can really see why their student isn't home at 2 p.m., even though they're only taking 4 classes, why their lab is running for 3 hours, why they can't probably pick up little sister, because as Latinos, as people of color, we pride ourselves in our community, in our family ties. So I was really trying to focus on that piece where it's like your students are students. And so you really do need to give them the grace of letting them be students as well. I understand that they need to work and they need to help, but this is also really important for their future. So really taking the time to break it down in a way that they understand. And I know every other session does it that same way too. So this is a a great program that, again, has been running now for 3 years, and it's still really, really successful.
Thank you. See, and that was Wendy's contribution too. So recognize. I guess I just wanted to add the fact that NEIU is also doing this. I saw this during orientation for the freshmen, the newer students, and they're splitting up, the students and the guests, their parents. And so then in that way, they each get their own experience, and I guess they each can bounce ideas off of each other, and parents with parents or like siblings, and they recognize that there is a need for space, right? That there's gonna be boundaries. There's a need for boundaries, and I'm glad, right? This will build understanding, and it will help the retention and student success, in my opinion, right? But thank you so much. I feel like we learned a lot from one another. We shared a lot of laughs and joy, right? So I couldn't be happier. And yeah, like I said, these ladies, we've been through something like life and school, and so we've got each other's backs. I'm just really happy.
Thank you. Thank you, Roxanne, Wendy, and Nadia. This was awesome. It was excellent. Um, and you did a tremendous job of facilitating, Roxanne. I know you were nervous before, but like there was no reason to be nervous because you were great. So all of you, and Wendy and Nadia también otra vez, because I know you're donating your time and energy, so deeply appreciate it. I saw that Veronica mentioned something in the chat. We do have time, right, to open it up to see if people want to make comments. And I'm talking about the audience, right? So Veronica, Marisa, and las sisters are in the house. I think Danny left already. Yeah, he left. And then we have a guest, Veronica Galindo. So any of you, if you want to share, Veronica, I know you shared a little bit on chat, but feel free to share verbally.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you. Like, I am not too familiar with the program. I happen to know Professor from LinkedIn, and then I saw some of the work, and then I connected. So I just want to say thank you for this space. It sounds like a really great learning community. I'm from a DePaul. I will be a triple DePaul Demon soon. So I don't have any other experience outside of DePaul. And I could just say on the onsite, it sounds very different from what you all have. And so I really honor and respect the work that you all are doing in the learning community is very culturally responsive. It sounds like, for sure. Absolutely. I am very curious about that STEM and the data science connection. I myself have a math background. I was an educator in math, and now I'm a director of digital curriculum for Chicago Public Schools. I lead the team for curriculum designers. One of the things that we know is a development gap is data science. So when you were talking about being able to navigate a bunch of numbers and infographics, it's coming up for us, and it's coming up for us in regard to like even the ICE raids around. We know the data is out there, but how to sort through it. How do we make sure that students or even ourselves as curriculum designers can understand it to then even start to pose questions for our students to navigate? So if that's something that you all are interested in working with me on or just further talking about, I'm happy to connect.
Thank you, Veronica. And yeah, so Veronica is doing awesome things at CPS. And yeah, hopefully y'all can connect, right, sometime soon. Veronica, I know you chatted something. Did you want to share? And then I see you too, Marisa. Whoever wants to go first is fine. I think Marisa, she stepped out. So Marisa, if you want to say something.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marisa Lugo. I work at Malcolm X College. Just want to say I'm very proud of you two, young lady, for sharing your story. I am also an ENLACE staff from cohort 11. I couldn't be more proud than I am today. I actually saw both young ladies when they first started. So this is the way we pay it forward, right? We share our stories and we make sure that we continue uplifting our own community. And all I can say is keep going. ENLACE for me was amazing. It has opened the doors. It has definitely prepared me to be in the higher education field. And anything I can do to support, just reach out, let me know. But again, I'm very proud of you. And this is from someone that didn't think she was going to be pursuing something higher than her master's. And so, again, you guys make a difference every day. You guys are meant to be where you're at. Congratulations on finishing, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you, Marisa. And Marisa is she won't say it, but I'm gonna say it. She's in her doctoral studies now, right? You just finished your first year, correct? Yeah.
In August, I'll be finishing my first year.
In August, all right. So again, right, awesome, and Marisa's dope as hell. And she also was selected to be in the Academy for Leaders for Haku, right? And that's something that's very significant from a nationwide pool. So representing Chicago, Humboldt Park, all of that, and then lastly, of course, NEIU doing great things. So thank you for joining us, Marisa. And Marisa always comes through, very supportive. She even volunteered to like help students with with a scholarship, which I need to finish up with you on that. And but like she's love. So thank you for coming through. And
Yeah, I'll be sending you that info this week.
yeah, no, I'll follow up too, and we'll make it happen, right, for sure. So thank you for joining us. I'm gonna ask Veronica. I don't know if she's there. There
Yes,
she.
sorry, Dr. Cortez. Yes, I am
Okay.
here. I'm sorry. I'm actually working at El Centro right now. So
Oh, okay.
but yeah, just quick note. Being out of school for over 20 years, it was really hard. That's why I was a little bit intimidated to go into the program.
Mhm.
Danny Cortez really encouraged me to go for it. And I know a lot of people here, like Lisette Galan, that recently left, she was in the program. Cynthia Ceron, which is one of my colleagues, also encouraged me to go to the program. So um, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's really hard, especially being out of school for such a long time, getting back to the rhythm of reading and writing and all that stuff. But I noticed that my cohort has given me a lot of support. My cohort, my instructors, like Dr. Aquino, Dr. Garcia, um, and yeah, it's just the family feel of being supported in that sense. So aside from the family that I have here at the university, my children, they're older now, they're teens, but they're like, you could do it, mom, you could do it, which is it's really great. But yeah, I would have been in cohort 15, but like I said, I deferred because of that self-doubt. But I'm here with cohort 16. And hopefully I'm halfway through, but I'm looking forward to the finish line.
And I'm looking forward to having you in my class this fall. So, and Veronica, you've been a great leader at Centro, and I was happy to see your name when you finally submitted your application. So, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So for the rest of the time, I'm just gonna talk. I'll make a few comments, and I'm gonna go over some the portfolios of our instructors, our professors. But anyone, feel free to jump in, interrupt me, ask a question, share a story, etc. Right? So a few things in terms of support, like my background is not in higher education. I already mentioned to some of you that my background's history of education, not necessarily higher ed. So I still need to polish up some of my language, right? All of that to really fit. But in terms of the history and also the pedagogy of teaching, teaching and education has been harmful to a lot of folks, right? A lot of teachers are good in telling you what you're not good at, but they're not good in terms of helping you develop, right? Further. I remember listening to a Black student at NEIU saying how he once went to his one of his STEM instructors, how he was having problems. He was like, man, I can't get it. And the instructor just told me, you know what, just drop the course because this field is not for you. Right. And it's just like, damn. I was like, who? Tell me who. I want to know who said it, right? But it's like, that's garbage. That's basura, because that's not the way we support students. That's not the way education is development, right? Education is not difficult, it's time consuming. And that's our philosophy, right? We know you're capable of being great leaders. And I always tell my colleagues, people from school, I'm like, look, there are already leaders coming in, right? We're selecting leaders. We're just gonna help them enhance their leadership a bit more, right? So that being said, in terms of bringing your strengths, I love hearing both Wendy and Nadia's stories, right? In terms of like, I'm not sure if higher ed is for me. And I have that conversation with so many students during their experience and while they're applying. And I'll give you two examples. You had Eunice Gomez, who was like, I'm not sure my background fits. I'm in social work. I've been there. And I was like, you're dealing with people. Students are people, right? You know how to support individuals when they're going through stuff, and yes, that fits. That totally fits. Another example is Irene Aleman, who just graduated, and she's awesome because her background is in wellness. She used to work for a clinic, so she has a great experience and knowledge of that field. And then she was able to do her research paper at the city colleges in terms of how it's not about the services provided, but how Latino students perceive, right? If they were being recruited, if they were being accessible in terms of these resources, which is a different angle. And I loved it because she had great insight, right? And I was like, this is why, I go, this is how you fit in higher ed. Because your insight, right, as a wellness practitioner, you know what to look for, and you know how it impacts people. And more importantly, you know how to bring people in, right? What does it take? Because you were asking the right questions or impactful questions, right? So they both came in, they're both great, they both graduated, right? They're both leaders, so awesome. And then the last thing I would say is we had one of our professors and he left, he had to leave early. So that was Dr. Javier Aquino. And I think he's my no, my most recent hire, she hasn't taught yet, is Dr. Sandra Pisano, who was cohort 6, and she will be teaching in the fall. She'll be taking over Ana Garcia's spot and teaching Lead 421. And I'm also going to change that question on the comp exam, right? Once they leave, right, that your question is not there. And then I had something here from Marisol, but I can't think of it. But let me jump over to and share the screen because I'm going to share our professors, right? Our awesome professors here. I'm trying to think who helped me with this. I think it was Israel Perez. I believe Nadia helped me at the end of it too, putting together this document. Now, in terms of what I bring to the table, right? Because I connect with you, like I mentioned earlier, my background is not higher ed, right? My background's education. I have more of a critical lens, in terms of history. I'm always talking about the atrocities, challenges that our people go through, and some people are not used to that, right? But that's what I bring to the table. So in knowing that, I knew it was important to really capture the dynamic team we have. So I was like, you know what, I need to do this portfolio. And so here you have me, right? Actually me, I'm not gonna read everything, but I'm gonna show you who these individuals are. So you have me, I'm the director, right? Dr. Cristina Garcia, one of the student faves for sure. She's awesome. I hired her, right? I was honored to hire her, bring her in. She teaches the 497 student personnel work in higher ed. Ana Gil Garcia, doctor, Ana Gil Garcia from Venezuela. She is someone who's mentored me or mentored me, right? She's also part of my other program of K through 12 leadership. And when I came in, she, showed me the way, showed me how to survive as an assistant professor. Now I'm a full professor, right? But she's someone who really brings a lot of knowledge to the game. She used to work at St. Augustine College. She used to be the president of the Fulbright chapter here in the Midwest region. So she's worldwide, and she brings a lot of high level know-how in terms of how people run things like internationally, right, and throughout the world. So yeah, we were honored to have her, right? And she's very, as y'all know, she'll let you know where the line is at, and if you cross it, right, there's gonna be some noise. And then the next person is Dr. Jorge Nieto, who actually graduated from the program. He's an enlacista. He graduated from cohort 3, and now he teaches the law class, which is not listed here. And what's funny, because when he reached out to me, looking to see if there was a position available, I told him, oh, he did tell me, he's like, as long as it is not law. And I told him that's the only one that's available. So I give him credit for still taking that challenge and teaching the class. But in terms of his expertise, he is the College of DuPage's Associate Vice President for Assessment and Student Success. So again, we got big ballers here, right? In terms of people who are in great positions. And, when they teach, they bring a lot of their expertise with them, right? One of my, Dr. Ramona Alcala, a good friend of mine, but she's also dynamic. I didn't hire her just because I know her. No, she's actually doing great research at UIC. She's the Associate Director of Undergraduate Research at University of Illinois at Chicago. Always on the ground, right? Community activist, knows what's going on from the community. She actually graduated from Jose de Diego middle school, right? Middle school or junior high. So she's, represents community and is really about it, the way we say it in the neighborhood. And then the last person, right, is Dr. Javier Aquino, who was my second last hire before Sandra. And I actually got to celebrate his doctoral degree with him because he works for the graduate college, for the office of the graduate college at Northeastern. So I know him through there. I knew he was in the doctoral studies program at I think he was at ISU. He always corrects me too, Illinois State University. And when I heard that he finally got his degree, I was like, oh man, I gotta take you out for lunch. Took him out for lunch. We talked, and I told him if anything pops up, I'll be on the lookout for you. And then when I learned that 496, he taught 490, excuse me. When I learned that was available, I was like, I hit him up. He wasn't sure if he wanted to teach, and I was like, bro, like I know you're gonna be great because one, I know you have integrity, right? That alone says a lot about you, and you know what you're talking about. And from what I heard from cohort 16, he was awesome. So I'm glad to have him on board. Let me go to the next ones. And we have some, all-stars here, right? So Dr. Marisol Morales, who I also known for a very long time from the neighborhoods, right? I think she grew up like in Logan Square or maybe by Reese Park somewhere, but she was a teacher. She used to teach for Aspida back in the day. And now she's the executive director of the Carnegie Elective Classifications. She does work with Compact. I think she moved around. I don't think she's in that position anymore. But I do know she does some type of assessments of universities, and she travels a lot, right? So she's someone who's seen many spaces. She brings in leaders, right, to her class from different positions, different areas and regions, which to me is phenomenal because she knows the field, right? And she's from the community. She's also Boricua, Puerto Rican. When I hired her, I was very intentional because I was like, we don't have any Puerto Ricans in our team. And if you're from Chicago, Puerto Ricans, a good chunk of the city, right? So I'm glad she's with us. I think this is like her 4th year. Dr. Alcala también, I think this is her 3rd year teaching with us. So I'm honored to have them. Dr. Claudia Mercado, she's another one out there in terms of being an all-star, another fave of students, right? And she's like the theory person. I'm glad that Wendy touched on that. And actually, the way I teach my class in terms of human relations, which is Lead 413, because I know what other professors cover in their classes, it allows me to teach outside the box, right? Because and the reason I say that, because as director, I want to make sure you have certain skills. So when I know this is taught in other classes, I'm like, cool. This allows for me to be a little bit more experiential during the course, right? So as you know, we were able to put together an event together and work together, which is something different. But in my personal belief, it's like you learn something when you actually do it together, and more importantly, you have to learn how to communicate with each other. But because of these all-stars, right, and these significant professors, I'm able to do that. So that's a team approach, right? So going back to Dr. Mercado, She's also involved with the Aspen Institute right here. So she was the member of the inaugural class of Aspen Index Senior Impact Fellows. They're big in higher education. And so for her to be recognized and then be here with us, we're honored. And she's also the interim VP of enrollment right now for NEIU. The next person is Dr. Angelica Rivera, who's actually a great friend of mine from a long time ago. We went to U of I together as undergrads, and she's also the director of Puerto Palante, student success here at Northeastern. She's been there for like 11 years. She does a lot of recruitment. She does a lot of advising. She teaches a seminar for freshmen. So she brings that expertise, right? And this is what I'm saying about all of our instructors. They are like leaders from different institutions, and they bring that knowledge and experience to the class, right? Esta Angelica also, Dr. Rivera also was a co-editor of the Latino Latinx Education in Chicago book, which came out in 2022, Roots, Resistance, and Transformation. And it's actually the first first of its kind in terms of covering Latinidad, education, and in the city of Chicago or in the Midwest, right? I'm honored to actually have contributed a chapter to it, which was focused on my dissertation on the hunger strike for Little Village High School back in 2001. So she and the other co-editor, which was Dr. Isara Pulido, who is not in ENLACE Leadership, but she's at NEIU, they were the ones that put that book together, right? And we had about maybe 12 authors who all graduated from Chicago Public Schools. So we were able to contribute, and that to me was phenomenal. I always appreciate her for that. And then we got my man, Dr. DeWitt Scott. And I say that because he's a former basketball player, and we always kind of joke around when we see each other. But I appreciate him because he's from Chicago, very cool, very like approachable. He engages with students. And when I saw that, he came in to NEIU as director. He was hired as director of the Angelina Peroso Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs at Northeastern. And when we got to know each other, I was like, hey man, there's a class that came up, would you like to teach it? Because he's the director, right, of the intercultural affairs, I thought, I was like, you know what, man, I want to give you the opportunity to engage with Latino students, right? Because I want to learn who we are, because you're doing the work of intercultural affairs, right? So he was, happy, I was happy. And from my understanding, talking to teachers to students, they enjoy him, they love him too. So I'm glad he's on board. And then the last person I will highlight is Dr. Daniel Lopez, who actually was one of my mentors as well. When I came into Northeastern, he was working here. He was actually the director for El Centro. And then he moved up to the VP of Student Affairs, and then now he's actually the president of Harold Washington College. And his story is significant just because as an undocumented undergrad, right? Or not even undergrad, as an undocumented, individual, he came across Harold Washington College when he was young, and he saw, like, someone told him that they accept undocumented students. So his initial, right, his entry to higher ed was Harold Washington College, and now he is the president. Right. I mean, what a story. And of course, when he went in, he was undocumented. Now he's documented and running the place. So much props to him. And he brings it, right? He brings that lens. And that's the reason why I put together this portfolio or different portfolios of our instructors, because I think people need to know, right? And some of you mentioned that like you really can't find this anywhere else. What I will say to wrap things up is I also want to mention the former directors of the ENLACE Leadership Institute. The first one being Dr. Santos Rivera, who helped initiate the program in 2000. I believe the person after him was Dr. Richard Rutschman from Argentina. I think he's Argentine, but he was there for maybe a year or two. And then before me, you had Dr. Frank Gaitan, who ran the program for me, I think like 4 years, excuse me, or 5. He's now at North Park University. And then I've been here. I just finished my 7th year, gonna go into my 8th, which I hope is my last one, because I'm trying to do other things. Not that I hate the position, but it is time consuming. And I'm hoping, si Dios quiere, right? Ojalá that I am looking to place a Latina director, because we've never had a Latina director run ENLACE. And if you look at our student body, if you look at our alumni, the majority are Latina. So I think, we deserve one, right? So that's my take on that. Maybe some of y'all can get some degrees, the doctoral degrees, and come back, right, and run the program. So if everything goes well, I may look at Dr. Isabel Castro to see if she's open for it, right? But we gotta figure that out on our end, because you actually have to be faculty to run the program. So we'll see what happens. But cool. Any last thoughts before we go?
I
We're
remember
good.
what class I really liked. It was Dr. Rivera's class, because it really talked about the fact that there was like Latinos in higher education. That was the emphasis. That was the class title. And while we learned about higher education in Dr. Lopez's class, which I also love history, I think it was her class that really kind of put the spotlight and then introduced us to your work, Dr. Cortez, and Dr. Isaura Pulido, her work too. So that was mine. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope. Rivera, yeah. Again, we've known each other for a very long time. She was actually involved, in 1992, there was a student activism by Latino students at U of I, asking for more retention programming for Latinos, more professors, more, to start a Latino studies program. And she was 2 years above me, so she was involved with that fight. When I came in, it was me, Dr. Pulido, came in together. We've known each other since freshman year, back in 1992. It's crazy. And Dr. Rivera was a junior. Who would have known that we'll be working at Northeastern together at the same corridor? Our offices are on the same corridor, right? On the fourth floor of Lake Walesa Hall, and we're part of 3 different units. And we all 3 of us graduated together in 2008 under the same graduate advisor. You couldn't make this up. I'm honored, right? I'm honored, and they helped me, in terms of learning about my privilege of being a male Latino, and how to support women and stuff like that. So I hope I'm doing a good job, right? But I learned from them. They're my sisters, and it is a family. It feels great to be in higher ed and know that there's a few individuals that can talk to, like, for real about what's going on, to hopefully, support what's going on. So cool. Are we done? Oh, go ahead, Roxanne.
Oh, I was going to mention, like, the fact that you all had the same advisor and you had such a good relationship with your advisor. It makes me think of, like, yeah, we do need mentorship. We need some type of program out there that, even at Northeastern, to get that started. And then we need a Latinx master's program too. We're trying.
There you go. Cool. Well, we can end it here. And then I just want to say thank you again, all 3 of you. I'm looking forward for tomorrow's panel. I am going to record it. I mean, I recorded this, and I'm going to, edit this part, of course. And I'm going to make it available on YouTube, so it can hopefully get replayed. I'll put it on social media. So even though we had a small audience, right, I'm hoping that more people can watch and hopefully donate. So we'll see. All right, cool. Well,
Thank you, Dr. Cortez. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and I'll see y'all
Thank you so
soon.
much. Have a good night.
Have a good night, y'all.